Hey guys, how's it going? I'm IAmPattyJack, and welcome to Just One Line. This is a game coming out in early access, I think today, if I recall correctly. I think it's today, and so far, I'm really enjoying it. I'm going to tell you why. First, though, I want to say there's a lot of early access games this year that are actually pretty good so far, and it's been a great year for that. I'm very happy to see that, early access is becoming a thing that's not always terrible now. That's nice to see. And this game so far has a lot of content. Now, I was going to make, like, a abridged video that I normally do, where I do, like, the pre-recorded dialogue and stuff, but this game kind of doesn't work for that, because with that, I need a whole lot of really interesting visuals going on. And while this game has a lot of interesting and nice-looking visuals and artwork, there isn't a whole lot of gameplay shown, because it's very focused on text adventures and, like, choose-your-own-adventure type quests. So, I'm just gonna do it live, and I'll get back to the other ones when I find a game that's more suited towards that. So, let's go ahead and start this game, and I'll show you kind of what it is, because it's a weird amalgamation of interesting things that I think you're really going to enjoy. Okay, so welcome to Just One Line. It's a game with a fantastic art style that I love instantly. We're going to go ahead and start a new game, and we're going to see exactly everything that goes on. So, basically, in this game, it's kind of a choose-your-own-adventure style questing Dungeons and Dragons type experience, where you do a bunch of generally short little quests, and the idea is to level up your adventurer, then retire them when you unlock more things for new adventurers, and then you go through like other quests and stuff, and you choose what you want to do. There's tons of different ways to either pass or fail different missions. Failing them doesn't necessarily mean you're going to not get any rewards or anything. It's kind of like, oh, you didn't do what you're supposed to do, but you could have still been rewarded for doing this, that type of thing. So, what we're gonna do in this game to start off is create our character, of course, because every Dungeons and Dragons or RPG style game, you gotta be able to make your character. This is what your character looks like to start out with. I've unlocked one of the other races so far, the Orc, although I guess I didn't unlock him on this game. My apologies for that. You get 3 different save files, and on my other save file I've unlocked the Orc, so we'll stick with the human for now, because that's the starting class, and we'll just customize him a bit. There's only a little bit of customization right now. I'd like to see that improved on down the line. By all means, we'll make him, yeah, that color looks kind of normal. And we'll change his hair color a bit. We'll make him that. And then you go over here and you choose exactly what type of character you want him to be. Right now, I only have the commoner unlocked. I think there's only 3 classes currently available in this version of the game, but they're adding in at least all of these ones right here, so that's going to be a good thing. So we'll stick with Commoner. You can see that they have their own little attributes, and they can use specific gear types. Every other class and race can edit that and switch up like how all that stuff works. And it can also affect you during the storylines or the quests in the game too. So once you've done that, you choose one of 3 different categories, which is basically like dexterity and strength, or the other ones, wisdom, intelligence, that's the ones, and charisma, I guess. So you choose which one of those you want to go with, and that'll affect other things too. So for this one, let's go basic. We'll do power, so you have more hit points, and you can do better attacks and that type of thing. So here we go. Now here's where the game also gets interesting. When you start the game, you can turn it on to immersive mode, which won't give you any hints when you're doing quest lines. And what this version of the game does is actually puts you on an online leaderboard, so you can see like where your adventurer stacked up compared to everyone else that's played the game. That's a really cool idea, and I'm gonna go over a little bit more in depth and more stuff to do with like not multiplayer elements, but some very neat ideas involving players later on. Okay, so let's go ahead and start the game. Okay. So the first thing you want to do in this game is go into your armory and find some stuff so you can buy things, because that's all important. You start off with no weapon yourself, so we're just going to go ahead and buy, I guess, a pitchfork, because of course we are. And we'll get ourselves some armor as well. Settler suits or padded armor. Padded armor is going to give us a bit more armor. We're pretty combat focused. The other ones can give you bonuses, like that one gives you bonus to charisma or whatever it's called. And that one gives you bonuses to intelligence, magicka, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so let's go ahead and buy the padded armor then. We're going to go super in-depth with the fighting in this one, I think. And then this is where you can see all your retired adventurers. I don't have any right now on this save file. Okay, now this is where it gets neat. So, this entire game in the hub area kind of takes place in a tavern. Like a medieval tavern. You know when you're starting out and playing D&D, and you always start in a tavern. That's always how it works. That's how you meet all the other players and everything. That's pretty much what everyone does. And this game just puts you in the tavern, and you have this little board of quests that you can do. And you can choose whatever you want to do. So you can do rats in the basement. That's a very standard RPG style thing, so let's go ahead and do that one. And go on a little adventure to see what happens. I've done most of the early quests a few times now, so I've gotten different endings and stuff. The nice thing about them is that there is a ton of different endings and choices and things you can do that affect how the quest line plays out, what rewards you get. You can die during them. Like, there's a lot of stuff you can really do to make every character and quest line your own, and that's really cool to see. So, let's go into this now. This tells you, like, information about all your character's successes, failures, reputation, attributes, the big choices he made, combat stuff, etc. Okay, so before we get into this quest line, I just want to say once again, I love this art style. It looks absolutely fantastic. It's minimalist, and the character models remind me of, like, old school RuneScape, but that's awesome, and I love every second of it. And having an art style like this, having a nice little cartoony or just anything in a game that's based on text adventures or choose your own adventure style things, it really adds to the experience. Like, you don't see most of the character models or anything in your quest lines in this game, but just having that little locational setting in the background and having this presented the way it is, it really helps your immersion, and it makes the game way more enjoyable despite not affecting the gameplay at all. And that's fantastic. They've done a wonderful job on that. So, okay, let's go through this. I've done this one a couple times now, so I'm going to kind of skip through these, but we'll go through, you'll see all the choices and stuff. So it says you arrive at old Rennie's house, and he immediately takes you to the hatch. Basically, we're going to go into a basement, and we are going to try to clear the rats out of there. Of course we are, because that's, again, I'm level 1. That's what you do in RPGs. That's an unwritten code of conduct. Okay. I asked for help from a real hunter, but I got a pitchfork. That's good enough. We can skewer some rats. It'll be a-okay. Okay, so now we got our set of choices. Again, very text adventure style. Nothing super out of the ordinary with this one. I can bargain for better services. I don't think I'm going to do that. He's also missing a cat, though, so let's go ahead and ask about that. You left it in the basement to hunt the rats. That's not a good idea, Rennie. Terrible idea. They're giant rats. Awful. Okay, let's get into the basement. And now we have different choices, and I've done, I think, all of these choices so far, and depending on what you do, it does totally change how the quest plays out, and that's really interesting. So for the sake of it, though, we're going to go ahead and squeeze through the crack. And now we are inside these weird-ass tunnels. Glowing cave mushrooms allows us to see things. Let's explore around. Okay, now we found a big pile of rats that we gotta fight. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'll show you the combat mechanics. The combat mechanics are super simple. Like, there's nothing that's going to surprise you at all. The way it boils down is basically you have an attack, and you have, like, a special attack that you can use, like, once per combat that'll do extra damage or random damage, possibly have some other effects as well. For the sake of it, though, let's just attack the rats head on. And we one-shot them, and we have been victorious. We did lose a little bit of health, though, but that's okay. I think we'll survive. Okay, so on the way back, we notice another small tunnel that you missed before. You get closer, and see that splits into two. On the right side, you can see the weak bluish luminescence coming from the end of the tunnel. On the left side, you can hear a meow, and it's probably Rennie's cat. Well, let's go find the cat, because we kind of said we would. Okay, and we found it. It's a giant cat, apparently. It's tiger size, so we're going to go and try to rescue it now. So let's go into the fissure, try to get it out. And we're going to call it to get out of wherever it's stuck in. Took some damage, whatever. It's fine, everything's okay. And we are... Okay, so what did it do? Squeeze again through the fissure, try to make the cat follow you. It tries to shrink as much as possible, but it's too big. You pull the cat as hard as you can, but you hurt it. And, oh, it scratched me, that's why I got hurt. And then, more painful. Okay, yeah. Fine, okay, so we're just gonna have to keep trying to push it out so we can save this cat, because we can't leave it stuck in the tunnel. That wouldn't be a very nice thing to do. There we go. Okay, now the cat's going through the basement. And we are going to go back to Rennie. I'm not going to deal with that weird-ass luminescence. There's no point. Okay. And there we go. So now we've successfully completed that quest, and I've unlocked a new class as well. So if I wanted to, I can actually retire this guy right now and then start a new class with this hunter that I've unlocked or whatever. So basically, we successfully did what we were set out to do, and we got our mission reward from it. It's worth noting in this game as well, you can fail things. Like, you can just do the complete opposite of what you're supposed to do in some scenarios. If you do that, you'll fail the mission, but it won't... Like this game doesn't have fail states necessarily unless you die. If you fail a mission, it just means you did something else, and that kind of gets added to the backstory and the history of your character. It's not like, oh, you don't get rewarded for this. Like, I've done missions where I had to break up a tavern brawl or something like that, and when I did that, I ended up just joining the brawl instead, or I've done things like I was trying to help someone out, and then I ended up robbing their house instead. You still get rewarded, but you get like a little red X saying like, oh no, you were a bad boy. And I love that. That's fantastic. Okay. So, that's the basic questline system in this game, and that's the majority of stuff you're going to be doing. Some basic combat, you can bargain with people, you can trade for stuff, you can buy more items, of course, in this thing. You can buy beer, you can get drunk before you go on missions that will basically help you, it'll increase your stats, so you'll do better at them. And overall, it's very simple, but the presentation in this game is one of a kind, and it's really engaging to play. Like, just looking at all this stuff, it all looks absolutely fantastic, and I love it. And it puts you in the world really well. It's got its own little, like, Dungeons & Dragons style world-building mechanics, and overall, combining the presentation with some very good dialogue branching quest lines really makes it enjoyable to play. We're gonna go ahead and retire this guy right now, just because we can. Because who cares, and we get to name him afterwards. We'll name him Clarence. There we go. I don't know if that's how you spell Clarence. Probably is. Clarence the Idiot. Sounds good. Okay. And we're going to send him to the leaderboard. He's going to be way at the bottom, but who cares? Okay. So, the other thing I want to talk about with this game is the plans for early access, and a feature in it that I think is really a good idea, and I'm instantly 100%, 100 times more interested in this game now that the developer has talked about it and said they want to do it. Where's the hunter class? Is it the hounds? Yes, it is. There we go. Okay, we're good. And we're going to boost up his wit, because why not? We'll give him this hairstyle. Sure, why not? Good enough. Yes. So, what the developer wants to do with this game is add in the ability for players to create their own quest lines and have them, one would assume, be randomly generated on this board. So right now, as it stands in the early access version of this game, what happens is, whenever you start it, you get the same basic quests as before. There you go, rats in the basement again. And you go through them, and there is kind of like a little bit of a storyline in it, so some quests will directly affect others down the line, etc. But they want to add in the ability to have user-generated content, so they can make their own quest lines with their own branching stories, and plenty of stuff like that. And that's a fantastic idea, because that takes this game, which is kind of enjoyable, but once you go through the quest lines, you know, like choose your own adventures, they're not a huge amount of replay value after a certain point. What it does is it adds potentially infinite amounts of this, like, text adventure stuff. And that's a great idea. That's a fantastic idea, because it makes a very dedicated fan base, and you could get some random different quests every single day and never really know what you're getting. Now, of course, if there's going to be something like that in the game, then they're going to have like a vetting system or a way to avoid trolling, because that will definitely happen. You'll get a ton of meme quests or something, so my suggestion for that would be to have like categories of the different types of quests that the player can enable which types of quests they want to get. So you can have like a category that's like memes and joke quests that you can enable if you want to, or you can be like, oh no, I just want like serious quests, or I want quests about dungeoneering, or quests about working in a tavern or a shop or whatever, right? So I think that's a really neat idea, and with the proper curation, it could really inspire a lot of people to not only make their own quests and get involved in writing, but like make this game have just so much content in it that it could really like build up a huge fan base. I think that's a great idea, and combining that with the, like I said, aesthetic and with the overall ideas that this game has, it could go a really long way. It's already got a decent amount of content for early access. The soundtrack is there. The soundtrack's great as well. Of course, like I keep saying, it looks fantastic, and if this game could come out of early access in a couple months potentially, and that's really neat to see. You know, I've got almost nothing but praise for this game right now, and I love that. I've been covering a lot of really terrible games lately, and it's really good. It's a good game, and I think that if you want to try it out, this is possibly one of the only games I'd ever say might have enough content to warrant buying it in early access. It's only $10 right now, I think. I'm pretty sure it's $10, and that's a pretty good bargain, I think, especially if you really like text adventures, you like Dungeons and Dragons. I don't think you can really go wrong with this one. Good job, developer. You done good. This game was also made with like the Unity Personal Edition. That's kind of impressive, considering the only other games that ever use the Unity Personal Edition are things like Mission Escape from Island. So, yeah. You've convinced me, and you've convinced me that Unity isn't a terrible engine. Alright, let me know what you think about this game in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, then always feel free to subscribe or like the video. You can also get in contact with me on my Discord server or over on my Twitter account. I am PattyJack, and I will see you next time. Have a wonderful day.